Well, today is the 28th of October. It's about 1600th hour. It's nice day today where I'm at. It's in the low 60s, so it's not real warm, but there's no wind blowing, nothing's crazy. I had a little time to kill, so I decided to stop in this little woodland that I go by all the time, that I've never actually been in here actually. So I decided to take a walk. I did find something interesting though. Here, look at this. This is I'm guessing was a squirrel box. Somebody had this hanging on it, that dead tree over there, and it broke, and I found this laying on the ground, and I put a lot of work into it, and it was strapped up with bungee straps. You see the bungee straps in there? Let's see. Okay. Yep. And I'm taking that home. Actually, I don't really want to use it for squirrels, but I'll figure something out. I'll figure something out with that. So anyway, as I just kind of came in there to look around, and I've come by this place at night often. I mean, it's a nice place. I mean, you look around. It's not a very big woodland. I'll tell you this much. It's not real big. But that doesn't mean anything to me. I've had people recently ask me, what do I look for? How do I, what am I looking for when I'm looking for Bigfoot? What am I looking for? Well, I am not one that looks for stick signs and stuff, though I do find them from time to time. I found some good ones recently. When I took my stepdaughter out about 3 weeks back, she actually found something really good. But I don't go looking for that stuff. I mean, if I come across it, I come across it. If I don't, I don't. I generally can sense them. I can feel them. It's a hard thing to explain. But I can generally sense when they're around. Some people who are watching this may understand this, but I wasn't able to do this. It wasn't always a thing, but it's something that gradually happened after being exposed to them. I could tell. I could feel it. Literally, physically feel it. And sometimes I think, that I don't actually, I can go long periods of time without knowing they're around. But one of the things that's interesting about it is what I've discovered about it is sometimes the feeling is a lot more intense if they aren't familiar with you, if that makes any sense. Like, say I went to Muskegon, Michigan, and I stopped in a forest there, which I have done, and I feel like my head's gonna explode, and I know it's them. And I've had that happen many times in areas I'm not familiar with, and I'm not around often. But in areas that I'm around often, the being able to feel them is not as strong. So this is a highly populated area. There's people hiking in here on a bike path and so on and so forth. But that doesn't mean anything. So, can I tell that they're here? Slightly. And that's not unusual, particularly if it's day. Now, if I came in here at night, it might be a whole other situation. But I want to touch on this real quick. I had about a half an hour to kill, so I won't be on here and bore you half to death. Um, I've had people I've had people email me and tell me that, you're going to get people killed. You're going to get people killed. These are dangerous creatures. These are dangerous beings, and you're going to get somebody killed. This is just kind of what I've come to believe in my own experience with these beings. And I know this is going to sound a little strange. They are no more dangerous than They're no more dangerous than any stranger you bump into in the street. Does that make any sense to you? Right? They're no more dangerous than another person that you meet on the street. Now, having said that, I'm gonna lay this out to you. I've known three murderers. Two of them have spent the night in my house. I was very close to a guy that was a bank robber. Didn't know it at the time. One of those murderers that I mentioned ended up being a serial killer, actually. And that's all after the fact. When I knew them, that wasn't a situation. I knew somebody else that was a pedophile. Didn't know it at the time, but started to suspect it was. So, I mean, I'm still here. I'm still alive. Even though I've entertained these people or been around these people, and some were closer than others. Now, every day you walk, let's say you go shopping, you go into Walmart, you're walking around a whole bunch of other people. You don't know what their stories are. You don't know what they have done or what they're capable of doing. But you don't walk into Walmart expecting somebody to jump out and strangle you to death, do you? Do you really do that? I mean that's a really miserable life. If every time you go out you're expecting another human being to kill you. Don't you think do you really want to live like that? So you can watch other people talk about Bigfoot and Sasquatch, and you don't know what they're gonna. No, you don't know, but you don't know what your fellow human being is gonna do either. You just don't, right? You don't know. But we don't walk around other people thinking they're going to kill us. Now, having said that, and everybody can relate to this, there are areas that you would go to. There are areas, and particularly in our large cities, there are neighborhoods that you really don't want to particularly go to because you think you might get killed in those areas, especially these days. Like in New York, the people are terrified of the subways because there's people. There are other human beings down there just for no reason push another person into the tracks in front of oncoming trains. This is happening every day in New York, at least weekly in New York. And people in New York are scared. I think there's several million people who live in New York City. And there's a lot of crime. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in there. And they are not happy with the situation. So why do I bring this up? Well, first of all, the odds of you bumping into one of these forest people or one of these wild people is next to nothing. The odds are that when you walk into a place they live, they are watching you. I promise you they're watching you. But you wouldn't know it. You wouldn't have a clue. And especially if it's a place they live, and especially if there's a lot of us coming and going into these places, they will have their own sentries in various positions just watching to make sure that everybody is behaving in a particular way. Walking the trails, not going off center. They're just watching. And they're watching for a reason, because they want to see us behave in the way that's typical that when we behave when we walk into their environment. So, is there a potential for them to kill you? No, a lot less than one of your countrymen. A lot less than one of the people that you bump into in the street. But yet you don't walk around in fear thinking, your neighbor's going to murder you. Do neighbors murder other neighbors? Yeah, it does happen. But everybody that's watching this, you got neighbors? Do you expect them to walk over, to your house and knock on the door and stab you to death? No, you don't. You don't wake up every day expecting this sort of thing. But there are way too many people who think that they're going to go walk into this a wild environment, a wooded environment, a desert environment, a mountainous environment, whatever it may be, knowing full well that these beings, once you realize that these beings exist, if you ever see one and that you realize it does alter your life, there's no doubt about it. It changes your life. But there's a difference between people who seek them out versus people who are surprised by them. And I accidentally saw one a long time ago. And that kind of, that set me on the journey where I am in life. And I don't look at these beings any differently than I look at our own people. I just don't. I don't see them any differently in the regards that they look very different. And they do have a different, they have a culture onto their own. I don't know all the dynamics of it, but I do know some of it. And most of it revolves around avoiding us. And that is the key. That's the key to it. The high point of their culture is to stay hidden. Don't expose yourself. Unless it's, and what does that say about people see them? Well, a lot of people see them on accident. Or it's either on accident, the other one, they are unprepared, that the Sasquatch accidentally lets himself be seen because he just got caught off guard, or he's purposely letting you see him. It's just the two things. Most people wouldn't know that they're being watched. Most people don't know that, that there's one, 100, 300 yards hiding in the brush, laying on the ground. That's another thing that people don't talk about. Don't expect them to be standing behind a tree. A lot of times they are laying flat on the ground, and they blend right in the ground. You wouldn't even know they look like they got a ghillie suit on, and they're just watching you like this with their face down. You wouldn't even know it, particularly if you're out there at night. So my whole thing is, you have greater odds of getting killed by one of your own people, another human being killing you, than you are going to be by one of these things, one of these beings, even if you're out in their environment. And there's a lot of hysteria. Look, if they really wanted to take you out, there'd be a lot more of us being gone from everywhere you could, everywhere. A lot of us, not a person here and a person there and a person here and a person there. They just, if they really wanted to, you'd just be gone. Now, maybe, I know for a fact that a lot of them hate us. There's no question about it. I know that for a fact. But my whole thing is, don't let it ruin your life if you know these things are out there. Go and do the things you like to do. Don't let it alter the things you always like to do. Hike, fish, hunt. Just be aware of your circumstances. Be aware of the environment you're in, and be aware of how to get back to wherever you came in, or wherever you plan on leaving or going out. For me personally, I'm always looking for them. I'm always looking for them. Because to me, it's exciting. And I get an adrenaline rush out of it. And one of the things I've learned, you would be shocked if you really knew how common they were. You'd be shocked to know that you don't need vast expanses of wilderness for them to live in. They need a place where they can even amongst people, amongst even if there's a lot of us, if they have an area where they can retreat to, where they know that we don't go, they will be there. And I know a little bit more about that. I mean, how they do that, but I don't think I will ever publicly. Um, I don't think I'll publicly ever talk about that because it would just expose them a little bit too much. I don't think I can do that. Um, but go about your life, man. Don't let the thought that they're, existing in the wild and they're out there in those wild places and they're gonna come and get you. So you know, but look at that, score one for the day, huh? That's pretty cool. And I'm gonna walk off with this and call it a day. So, well, I hope that was informative. Um, I know it wasn't anything real profound, but get on with your lives, man. Go out there and enjoy the outdoors. Just because they're living out there doesn't mean you should hide inside your house because you think something's gonna rip off your head and spit down your neck. Till next time.